And welcome to the Alouettes Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football. I am Tim Capper. You can find me on X at Repact. That's REPPACT.
And I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on X, but at Cliffy D. And this episode of the Alouettes Flightdeck podcast is presented by our good friends over at SportBuff, where if you use the promo code ALSFlightdeck10 at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. Head on over to www.sportbuffshop.com, use the promo code, buy the merch, save big money, and as always, folks, support local.
If you happen to miss any of the past episodes of the Alouettes Flightdeck, well, don't worry. You can head over to our archive. That's over at www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. You can also find us on X, formerly Twitter, and that's at Alouettes FLDeck. Facebook, you can find us over at Alouettes Flightdeck Pod. Instagram and Threads, you can find us over at Alouettes Flightdeck. And YouTube, where you can find the audio version of this podcast, plus all of the past episodes of Flight Deck Live, where I'm sure if you watched this week, if you haven't, make sure you go and do so. You had a great view of Commonwealth Stadium. You can find us over at youtube.com/Alouettes Flightdeck. And also, if you're looking to get some merch to rep the podcast, you can do so by heading over to flightdeckgear.ca. Again, that's flightdeckgear.ca. And I'm going to mention it since it isn't in the links there, Cliff. Yes, you can find myself, Cliff, and the Alouettes Flightdeck over on Blue Sky because, with the potential things that are coming up with Twitter/X, who knows what we're going to do in the very near future. So, would you pay $1
to tweet?
Yeah.
Hell no.
For bots, I think it's $1 a year. I think it was. It wasn't $1 a month, or was it? Anyways, we'll get we'll get to that once it comes about, right? So we'll go from there.
Cross that bridge when we get to it, I suppose.
Exactly. If that bridge is still standing. What a wild and whirlwind week for the boys and our executive producer for the flight deck this week, wasn't it, buddy?
Absolutely, it was. It was kind of a spur of the moment trip when you think about it. I mean, it's something we've discussed, but then things kind of died down a little bit. But then getting closer to the date, we're like, you know what? The hell with it. We got to go see our friends in the Turf District. We got to go support our boy Gino Lewis, even if he is playing for the Edmonton Elks. And you've never been to Edmonton, much less seen Commonwealth Stadium. I mean, I have, but it's been like 100 years since I've done so. So I'm like,
you look good for 100. You look good for 100.
Do gotta do what you can, right?
Eating
healthy and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, yes. So the decision was made, packing our bags, and we're going to spend the weekend at Edmonton.
Yeah,
and what a trip it was.
It was good. Yeah. We flew Porter on their new line of jets because before you and I had only flown on their prop planes, if I remember correctly, going into Billy Bishop. I'd never flown it. It's funny. In the multiple years that I have lived in Canada, Cliff, I'd never flown into Pearson in Toronto, ever. So it was good. It was fine. I mean, as I said, the trip itself was very eventful, and that's the main thing that came across, is because there's a ton of stuff that we're gonna remember for years to come. Besides the game itself, where should we start, or Cliff? Should we start with our escapades, or should we talk about the Alouettes, the Alouettes and Eskimos head to head?
Elks.
Sorry, you're right. I did. Hey, it's Elks.
It's only been 3 years, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's start with the Escapades then, because it wasn't just we weren't just going for the game itself, folks.
Yeah, how about this? The ELKScapade. There we go. I made up for it.
I'll allow that.
Oh, okay.
I will allow that.
Yeah. Okay.
So yes, Wow. I think the first thing we had to do was talk about our collaboration, if you will, with the fine lady and gentlemen of the Turf District podcast, uh, who basically were the impetus of this trip, because they had been talking about wanting us out there to check out a game, and they had mentioned that for their tailgate that they're going to be doing Montreal style smoked meat. And in the past, I've often looked at restaurants throughout the rest of Canada offering up Montreal style smoked meat, and I'm just like, oh, bless your heart, you know.
Or poutine.
Yeah, same idea. Like when you try to do these Montreal staples, like it's so tough to get it right. And I'm full admit, I'm a bit of a foodie snob when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, I have very high expectations when it comes to poutine, smoked meat, bagels, like pretty much all the Montreal staples. Like if you're going to try to replicate those, you best not miss. And
so you're the Thurston Howell the third of Montreal style food.
I guess you could say that. And
does that mean I'm Levy, or can I be the professor?
I guarantee nobody under the age of 45 understands what the hell you're talking about.
Good that you're Mary Ann. So.
I can't be ginger. I have a soul.
Oh, yeah. Well, neither of us are Gilligan. Neither of us are Gilligan or the skipper. So, little buddy. Oh, yeah. Continue. Sorry.
Yes. So once we got to Edmonton, we once we got ourselves situated, we got in touch with our man Andrew of the Turf District podcast. And we had to actually go check out the Turf District itself. If you've never seen a live stream of the Turf District, folks, you may not know what I'm talking about, but Andrew has a man cave that is completely dedicated to the Edmonton football franchise, regardless of what you want to call it, and covers all eras. It's absolutely fantastic, and that's where he records the podcast from. We got there, we were able to have a beer and just start checking out, watching both football games actually, because and this is going to be important a little bit later on for the Alouettes game. Was we were trying to keep tabs on the Tiger Cats and the BC Lions game, because if the BC Lions were to win the game, that means the Alouettes, before taking the field, would have clinched second place and would be hosting the Eastern semifinal at Percival Molson Stadium.
Yeah.
So naturally, we want to see what's doing and see whether or not how that's going to affect how the Alouettes were going to play the next day. Well, sure enough, thanks to former Alouettes Vernon Adams Jr. and Sean White, the BC Lions squeaked out a victory over the Hamilton Tiger Cats, ensuring that the Alouettes would indeed be hosting the Eastern semifinal. So we were watching the game with Andrew and just shooting the shit and having some fun with it, and just and he even got you cider, dude. I mean, he hooked you up with him. He hooked you up with the no boats, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did. Thank you very much. And I drank the whole damn thing. I was like, I think I had the most cider this weekend that I have in a long, long time. So, and I still remember. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, when in Rome, do as, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, knowing full well what was going to happen, like now that we knew that the game the next day was just going to be all about having fun, right? Now we could relax and just enjoy each other's company. So we hung out with Andrew for the evening, but the next day was where the real action was, game day. Now, game day, we got ready. We had a nice breakfast at the hotel, and then we made our way down to Commonwealth Stadium into the parking lot, where their tailgate experience, I have to say, is pretty damn outstanding.
Yeah, considering that theirs was grown, and for those who've never been to Commonwealth, or you're just using Montreal as an example, the Montreal ones really do. We're only usually on the days that our afternoon games, usually when most of these guys will show up for tailgating. They are able to do it every single home game because they have the spot to do it, and they have the asphalt and able to play, the location to do it. Mm-hmm. So this is a big thing. And it was something that if you haven't seen it yet, you need to make sure you head over to Edmonton, no matter who's playing, and just to to gather and take a part of the ambiance and what just bring in some memories with you.
Mm-hmm. And I will say the tailgate experience is very close to what you would see at, say, an NFL game, as far as lots of people showing up, setting up shop, cooking up food, having a few adult beverages.
You've had a few, I see.
I can neither confirm nor deny those allegations. Everybody wearing their colors, and you once again, just like you'd come to expect at any CFL game. Yeah, you're going to see other teams' colors. I saw some Bomber jerseys. I saw Rider jerseys. Of course, Rider fans are everywhere, right?
I saw some Owls jerseys.
We even saw Owls jerseys. That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
What a concept. So Mike, Andrew, and Kayla had set up shop with their tailgate. Again, they were doing the smoked meat, and props to Mike for properly brining, using the right pickling spices, smoking, steaming, making everything perfect. Got the rye bread, the mustard. He had everything like to the T. Like, and you could tell he was concerned. Like, I got impressed. I want you guys to be proud of me for this. And sure enough, like, cutting that cutting that smoked meat nice and thin, like I instructed him to, piling it high on the sandwich and a little bit of mustard on there. Took a bite. Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Now, Schwartz's isn't going to be going out of business as a result of this anytime soon, like I told him. But for an Edmonton-based smoked meat, this was pretty damn good. Like, this was absolutely outstanding. So you got to give major props to Mike for the hard work he's put in and the dedication he had to making sure that he did this essentially for us, when you think about it.
Yeah, I think it's early in the year they had their puts in, if I'm not mistaken. Montreal wasn't in town, and they do something every game. So it's what they go through. I mean, they were talking about too about the because remember, with it being in the Mountain Time Zone, the games out east do start 2 hours earlier. Mm-hmm. So it's you guys are setting up basically at 3 p.m. on a weekday for tailgating. So it was. Again, as I said before, it was an experience that you need to see. I know they do tailgating in other CFL, some of the other CFL cities. I can't compare them. This is my only, I can't. This is my only one I can really compare to outside of Montreal. So, they did an amazing job. They really did an amazing job. And what was the other thing? It wasn't just rye bread. There was something that they were saying what type of rye? It was a certain type of rye bread, right?
It was sourdough rye bread.
There we go, sourdough, and it was good. And I'm not a smoked meat guy, and I was very impressed.
Yeah, no, they had the original OG rye bread, which is, as I said, you got to do it. If you're gonna have smoked meat and you want to be taken even just a little bit seriously, you got to do it on the rye bread with the yellow mustard
and pickles and mustard. Yeah.
No, you got to you go big or go home. That's really what it was. But this sourdough rye bread, oh my, that was completely unexpected. But what a twist! I mean, I enjoy a good sourdough. I enjoy rye bread, but you put the two together, and that's a wow. Okay, now this is an experience. I mean, it's not authentic, but you know what? It was absolutely outstanding. I mean,
there was enough there that we didn't have to worry about, even though they had it in stadium. We didn't have to worry about going to the Popeyes fried chicken in stadium.
Truth be told, I knew it was there, and it's kind of weird. Like, for me to pass by a Popeyes, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I mean, we got our food on, we got our drink on at the tailgate. It was just an absolute blast. Like, just everybody was in good spirits. Everybody was having fun. We got to meet a whole lot of people that we've known through the Turf District podcast as well. So awesome to be able to put faces to names, and you're like, oh my god, it's so and so. Hey, it's you. Like, and of course they were excited to see us too, which I'm always amazed at. Like, oh wow, yeah, we love the flight deck. Like when people come up, tell us, we're doing a great job, and how much they enjoy our banter on the Turf District live stream, and then they come and listen to our podcast as well. Like, it's such a cool experience, and we appreciate each and every one of you that does. That means a lot to us. So I mean, like, for Edmonton folks to be able to tune into the Alouettes Flightdeck, I mean, that's what's up, man. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, no, I get it. Now we had sort of a sneak peek the day before at Commonwealth, just a tiny sneak peek because we had to go and pick up our media press passes. So we were able to, we had the option of sitting in press row or sitting in our seats. So yeah, we were going around the stadium, and a gentleman had opened up they were letting a box truck through, and we asked, can we see the stadium? He opened it up, gave us a couple of minutes, and we got to see our first sneak peek. And it was for you, it was an updated Commonwealth stadium. For me, it was obviously my first time seeing Commonwealth in person. It's a, and then we get to experience it on Sunday with everybody there and stuff like that. And it is a nice place. We were there. The weather was perfect. It's funny, considering where we sit at Percival Molson. I kind of would have been happy to sit on the side that had the sun the entire time, but I was fine with where I was. We were sitting, but you can't miss it, dude. I mean, 55-yard line, dude. 2 weeks in a row, we sit at the 55-yard line.
That's just the way it worked out
in two different stadiums. So I can't complain one bit. And especially with the outcomes on both those games, I can't complain either. But, this is a place that holds around 60,000 people, if you didn't know already. They've recently redone the seats, redone the seats. So it's all seats, unlike what it is over at Percival Molson. But again, wide concourses. I can't believe I'm bringing this up. The bathrooms are very unique. Sorry. The wash stations in the bathroom are very unique. I wanted to make sure I made that clear. And again, about 20,000 people were there for the game, or about 22,000 was announced. But still, it was a great time overall. I mean, it's just getting together with the CFL fam and whatnot. And we were able to obviously see the game, and what the result was.
And just really quick, I want to give a quick thank you to the Edmonton Elks for providing us with media access, to give us the opportunity to be in the press box, to be on the field after the game as well. I mean, it was just top notch when another football organization recognizes your podcast and recognizes you as accredited media members. It's a privilege that we do not take lightly, and we're extremely grateful to the Elks for giving us that opportunity. So I just wanted to give a quick thank you to them for that as well. For sure.
And also we want to give a quick shout out too, like I did on the Flight Deck Live, to Commonwealth Stadium security, because with those said passes, if anybody happened to see the post-game show, if you haven't, go do it. It's over on our YouTube page. We were basically shooting from an area that was overlooking the stadium bowl. Seats that would normally cost, I think, $1,000 a game, but this place, it was the Crown Royal...
A Canadian Club, actually.
Canadian Club Patio, I think they called it.
Patio Lounge, I think.
Yeah.
Canadian Club Patio Lounge.
Just a beautiful view. And probably one of the... I love being on the field, but being able to do the post-game show from that location was top-notch. It really was top-notch. Makes me wonder one time if we were to actually somehow do one of our Flight Deck Live post-game shows from the top of the M&I building over at McGill, overlooking the stadium.
That would be badass, actually.
That would be pretty interesting. I don't know who we have to contact. If anybody happens to know how we could get up there and do a post-game show one day, please contact us. Tim.Capper at alouettesflightdeck.ca, Cliffy D at cliffyd.pine@alouettesflightdeck.ca. We'd love to try and do that. It's basically the same place where TSN has one of their cameras. So... if anybody knows, let us know, because we'd love to actually do that for one game, because I'm sure it's a hell of a view too. So,
I'm not sure whose popsicle we'd have to lick for that, but it doesn't hurt to ask, right?
No, not at all. But yeah, again, the experience was fantastic. And then from there, we were lucky enough. Not only post game to meet up with, because a lot of the guys did show up on field after the game. Let them know that we're there. to support them. Also meeting up with former Alouette and current Elks wide receiver Gino Lewis, just to let him know that we were there. We knew we were coming, but just show up in person to say hey. And the night went on. I mean, the night ended perfectly with dinner with friends. That's all that mattered, and it was great. It was, as I said, it was a whirlwind of a weekend. So
it really was, and we got to meet so much. As we said, we got to meet people that we've known for a long time. We got to see new faces for the first time, which was amazing as well. Want to give a quick shout out to Coach Phil. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, Coach Phil Reacts, absolutely hilarious stuff. Mm-hmm. The guy works his ass off, covering all of the CFL, showing the love for everybody there. So, I mean, it was great to finally meet him this year. I actually thought, okay, I knew he's going to Grey Cup this year. So I thought, okay, that's when I'm going to meet him. But when he announced he was going to this game, I'm like, well, guess what, man? I'm going to see you soon. And I was like, all right, let's do this. So it was really exciting to meet him. Again, friends, family, and that's really what this is. When you talk about the CFL family, it means a lot of things to a lot of people. And I know the term gets thrown out quite a bit, especially with amongst fans and what it means to them. But like when I look back at this entire weekend, to me, that's what the CFL family is all about, is just having fun, enjoying yourself, sharing the love for Canadian football, win or lose, whether your teams are playing each other. I mean, there's no there's no rivalry in the sense that you hate the other team's guts or anything like that. Like maybe it's just simple the fact that, okay, Edmonton unfortunately is not going to make the Grey Cup playoffs this year. Montreal is. This was essentially, I won't say an exhibition game, but I mean, it's a game that had to be played, and it's just as long as both teams get out of there relatively safe and with no injury or anything like that, you couldn't ask for anything better. Quite frankly, it was a great afternoon of football. Great to spend time with people that we've gotten to know and are getting to know now too as well. I mean, it's truly, ladies and gentlemen, there's truly nothing else like it. And if you have a chance to go and see your team on the road in a different stadium, see how the other half lives, so to speak, by all means do it. I mean, there's no place like home. There's no question about that. To me, I've said it a million times, there is really no better place in the world to watch a football game than Percival Molson Stadium. But then you go to places like this. You go to, like Western Canada. Like their football, it truly is, I won't say a religion necessarily, but my gosh, it is an experience unto itself. And until you go and experience it yourself, until you actually get on a plane or train, however you get out west, and you go and see your team play in another stadium, I mean, there's really no way I can explain it properly or even do it justice. You really have to experience it for yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's different than Grey Cup. It really is, but it's still a thing in itself. So it's, it's funny. It's such a different type of landscape, Cliff, between the difference between Edmonton, just 3 hours between Edmonton and Calgary. You go from the majestic Canadian Rockies and northern Alberta. It's so flat. You wouldn't expect it. You think Alberta, you think the Canadian Rockies, but Edmonton itself. I mean,
it's not Saskatchewan flat, but yeah.
No, yeah. You remember my reaction, by the way, when I heard about that they had an LRT. I was like, and it was underground too. I was like, what the hell? They got an LRT before Montreal did? What? So yeah.
And unlike the one in Ottawa, this one actually works.
Yeah. Well, thank you. At least the REM works. That's the main thing too. At least ours works too. But again, thanks everybody. And obviously, it really helped too, is that, with the way that the Alouettes are coming in, they were on a 3-game winning streak. They were this close to clinching. They obviously already clinched a playoff spot, but they were waiting to find out what exactly was going to happen. Were they going to be playing this game where they had to win in order to clinch a home playoff game, or was it going to be a just a moot point at that point? It didn't matter, but we just happened to come into this game, Cliff. The Alouettes had already clinched that home playoff spot, as you mentioned before, and the way that this game started, it's like they didn't care.
I won't say that. What I said to you before, like I say you and a lot of people online were getting pissed off at the, shall we say, non-effort by the Alouettes in that first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I said, look, they're playing like a team that's clinched a playoff game already.
Yeah.
So, at this point, the game truly doesn't mean anything in the standings. It doesn't mean anything. All this is an opportunity to pad your stats, to, make some exciting plays happen. If you're not a typical starter, you may be able to get some reps that way. I mean, by and large, this game doesn't mean anything. As our playoff ticket's already been punched. We know we're going to be playing November 4th at Percival Wilson Stadium and hosting the Tiger Cats.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see anything new or different. You're not going to see this is going to be the definition of a safe game, and that's how they played that first half, or that first quarter.
Yeah,
very, very safe. And the Elks, they even though they're not in playoff contention, they had to prove to themselves that, hey, this is our last home game of the year. We want to send our fans home at least with a little bit of hope, with a little bit of a feeling that they got some entertainment value. And sure enough,
give them credit. They came to play.
Oh, did they ever? I mean, Trey Ford really, he proved that he is that guy. I mean, he looked absolutely outstanding in that first quarter.
I think it was almost at the end of the first quarter. It was like, I'm just guessing here. It was something along the lines of 250 total yards to the Alouettes, 70 or 80, if I remember correctly. But either way, they did what they needed to do. It was Trey Ford and his cheat codes. They did what they needed. They were up 21-3 on the Alouettes at the end of one. It was not pretty. It really, really was not.
No, it looked like that. This had all the makings of a true disaster for the Alouettes score-wise, because Trey Ford was looking more like Patrick Mahomes out there.
Well, and the history too. And people remember. People say it's just history, but people still need to remember the Alouettes really have not played that well out west. Period. And we've been very lucky over the past couple of times when it came to playing at Commonwealth. So. But the Owls were able to rebound, and we're going to go into this in a lot more detail. But they were able to overcome this 18-point deficit, Cliff, and beat the Edmonton Elks 35-21 to get 10 wins on the season, first time since 2019. And you were talking about they didn't have that much to play for. I think a lot of them really wanted to get to 10 wins, and now a lot of them want to get to 11 wins, because the Owls getting to 11 wins, and I'm not looking ahead of this, but in order to try to get to that 11 win total, you had to get to 10. So I just think that what, they were lulling us, they were tricking us, and then the second quarter, and bang. And the Elks organization was very happy to play along.
It's like that meme you see on social media with the young football player going, "They had us in the first half, not gonna lie." Except in this case, it was, "They had us in the first quarter, not gonna lie." Exactly,
and it basically, I think. Our friends over at Turf District were lamenting. It was like, how they say you have 7 minutes in heaven. This was 7 minutes of hell. That's for us. It was 7 minutes in heaven, and that basically turned the game around on its head, where the Alouettes they ended up leading at halftime by a score of 26-21. And in order to get to that, though, Cliff, it's more than just a score in itself, wasn't it, man? If more than just saying what the score was, there was so much that was allowing the Owls to come back from 18 points down.
Not to mention, too, all three facets of the football were used to score those points.
Yeah.
Offense, Cody Fajardo finally found the rhythm, finally found his receivers. First off, before I get to the incredible touchdown that was scored by Tyson Philpott, Cole Speaker had himself a game. He was quickly becoming one of the preferred targets of Cody Fajardo, and he was making some outstanding catches and took a couple of licks in traffic, but he was moving the ball very, very well. But offensively, the Alouettes, once they found the end zone, Cody Fajardo, Tyson Philpott, once again, that connection is just getting stronger and stronger with every single game. And I had to laugh because Tyson had a little bit of a celebration. I don't know if you folks got it. I don't think they showed it on TSN, but in the end zone, they have actually some couches kind of around because if I'm not mistaken, the official name of Commonwealth Stadium, at least on game day, is the Brick Field at Commonwealth Stadium.
Yeah.
The Brick being the furniture store.
Yes.
Well, they actually have couches surrounding that fans can sit in to partake in the game. And Tyson jumped onto one of those couches after scoring his touchdown, grabbed a bit of popcorn and kind of threw it in his face. So I got a feeling the CFL is going to unfortunately ding him for that little bit of showmanship.
I was about to say the same thing. Tyson was going to say he wanted the popcorn. He wanted the popcorn.
It was looking good, I guess.
I didn't throw it at him. I fed it to him.
Right.
So no, I'm not. Who's to argue with Tyson?
And listen, you got to have fun with this, right? So that's what it was. But no doubt the CFL is going to. I guarantee by tomorrow, I guess, is when they announce any fines that are happening. I got a feeling Tyson's going to get dinged a little bit for that one. But you know what? I'm sure he'll pay that with no problem. I think he was just happy to score and get the party going, and that's exactly what he did. That was the start of the touchdown onslaught for the Montreal Alouettes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, and from there it went to a strip sack and a scoop and score by the Alouettes. That in itself, I mean, all this really happened within a 3-minute span, right? You know, less what happened in the at the end of the first half, which we'll talk about because we have to talk about it.
Yeah, because I believe it was the next series that after the Philpott touchdown, Trey Ford's trying to get his troops back at it, and then Lawal Ugalak comes running around with his big meaty paw, smacks the ball out of Trey Ford's hands. Right, it seemed like it bounced off the ground and right into the arms of Mustafa Johnson. Yep, who took it to the house, and just like that, it's like, okay, and right away.
By the way, Mustafa has some wheels. You think about the slow defensive men, the defensive backs, stuff like that. Some of our guys on defense really have some wheels.
Oh yeah,
and Mustafa was showing them off. So.
He really was, or either that or he caught literally everybody flat-footed, and maybe it was a bit of both. But yeah, he chugged all the way to the end zone, and once again, Alouettes defense is proving that they are who they say they are. I mean that's just a absolutely great effort. Like I said, from Ugalak smacking the ball away, Johnson grabbing it, taking it for a run, and then okay, momentum is starting to shift, and you can almost feel the unease in the crowd, like, oh god, here we go again, like snatching defeat from the jaws of victory kind of thing. Like which unfortunately for the first part of the year for the Edmonton Elks, that seemed to be the theme, was just when they get a little bit of momentum going, it's almost like the other team woke up and realized, oh yeah, we're the insert team name here, we should be beating these guys and let's get to work. And that's exactly what it was. And I think the Alouettes kind of had that come to Jesus moment, like, oh man, we are getting manhandled by the Elks. We can't be having that. And then just right away started, everything shifted, and the hits just kept on coming.
Yeah. And then it led up to by the way, this was pointed out, I think, pregame. You know, for the first time this year, I think, Cliff, for the first time this year, the Alouettes went with back-to-back rosters, which were actually the same. They were identical from week to week. And you and I were very surprised, considering we thought of what potential changes could be made. They weren't. You know, William Stamek did not play. So that meant Walter Fletcher was able to come back and you know, feed off of that Edmonton energy that, you know, that I'm sure he may still have bottled up inside of him from being, you know, basically being booted out of Edmonton. So that, I think, that played a huge part in this game itself. So from there to the Maltos field goal, which brought the Owls to within 21-17. And then, my friend, something I love these type of plays, and I think it's been quite a while since we had seen one of these in Alouettes Nation. But right before the half, Dean Faithful, the Elks field goal kicker, went to go ahead, and because this is where they had actually driven. The Elks had driven down, and then he went to try a 41-yard field goal to put them up 24-20 at the time. Well, it missed wide.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, no changes so far on the roster these past 2 weeks. James Letcher Jr., all 5'7" of him, takes it, rumbles, stumbles, bumbles, and takes it to the house. What a run in itself! A missed field goal for a team record. Excuse me. Sorry, second. It's second on the team when it comes to longest missed field goals of 125 yards.
Absolutely outstanding. And it's funny because we were talking about this for the past couple of weeks, ever since Letcher took over for Chandler Worthy, who's on the 6-game list.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that first game in Ottawa that he made his debut. He had a couple of very, very nice returns. And you just got the feeling, okay, it's just going to be a matter of time before this guy breaks one off. Didn't do it in Ottawa. Then the next week, Thanksgiving Day game against Ottawa, he was actually looking a little hesitant. He wasn't getting a whole lot of opportunity, and just it felt like if he was lucky to get maybe 5-10 yards at a return, he had those stutter steps, he just looked uncertain, just didn't know if he could do this or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little concerned about that. I'm like, okay, you could tell there is potential. There is something there. And I figure, okay, sooner or later, this guy's going to have to, he's going to have to take one back to the house. It really is just a matter of time. Well, lo and behold, that time was last Saturday. The place was Edmonton, Alberta. And James Letcher Jr., my goodness, 125-yard missed field goal return for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely outstanding. And I got to tell you, it almost looked like he was running at half speed, because at first the only person that was even close to him was Dean Faithful. And of course, kickers, you never know. Sometimes they do an outstanding job, and they'll sacrifice their body sometimes, but some kickers won't. And I think Dean Faithful, perhaps because he's not from North America, maybe he didn't think he could tackle, or didn't want to risk anything getting hurt or that, trying to stop Letcher, but made a very half-hearted attempt to try and get in his way, and Letcher just wasn't having that. And yeah, next thing you know, James Letcher is scoring a touchdown. So that's now a touchdown scored on offense, on defense, and now special teams. All three facets of the football, all three tutties. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the 125 yards was the second longest in team history, Cliff, since the 129-yard record was set by Trent Guy on September 23rd, 2012 at home versus Toronto. And I happened to find it because it was there on the YouTubes. I retweeted it on my account, and it's also on the Flight Deck socials if you wanted to see that one. Yeah,
YouTube's a great place.
Oh, isn't it? I tell you. So, it's funny. I joked that the Owls defense had been so dominant over the past 2 games where they didn't allow anything within the first 3 quarters, and then the teams, Ottawa scored in the fourth. It's just the opposite time this way around, buddy. It's just the total opposite. They let them score in the first, give them a little bit of shot. The defense clamped down. The defense was money after that, man. I mean, second, third, and fourth quarters. This defense, man. This defense again. It's been what has brought the Alouettes to their 10-win season just recently, and a 4-win winning streak. So they're second. I think it's the second of the year. Their second 4-game winning streak.
That's right.
So
yeah. We got to start with Tyrese Beverett. There is something about this guy playing in Edmonton. Last year, he had I think it was 106-yard pick six.
Yep.
Absolutely outstanding.
Which put the Owls up. Which put the Owls up.
Right. and unfortunately led to the continuation of the home losing streak of the Edmonton Elks, which, to their credit, they ended it this year against Ottawa, so props to them for that. But Tyrese, my goodness, he was a man on fire this past Saturday, and he had a hell of a quarterback sack. I mean, he just ragdolled Trey Ford.
I know.
And I think it was something like almost a 10 or 12-yard loss, something like that. But again, he just got to him. It's funny because Reggie Stubblefield was also kind of running alongside, but just kind of he made one shift, and then I guess Ford reacted, and then just almost into the arms of Beverett, and Beverett, like I said, just slammed him to the ground. Essentially, I mean, totally legal, like in a totally legal way, but literally just manhandled him.
It wasn't a WWE type of tackle. So
no, there was no suplexes or.
I just said
like
ragdoll. It was ragdoll. He got ragdolled.
Yeah, I mean, just perfectly clean. Within the full extent of the law, but I mean, it just drove the Elks back considerably, and then I believe Beverett also had a couple of pass knockdowns.
I think he had 9 totals. I think he had 9 defensive tackles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So
he just had another phenomenal game, which we've come to expect from him. He truly is one of the stars in this defense. Again, it starts with that. I mean, it starts with that Lawal Ugalak. I mean, with his strip sack. I mean, it's this defense was truly all over the. Yes, they did allow 21 points, but after that, they really clamped down. They really reminded everybody who they are.
Who needed the halftime adjustments? Just needed the first
or the lunchtime adjustments, as the Turf District likes to call them.
Yeah, but because of where we were sitting, we were facing. We were on the TV side, and we were able to see. Because of the way they have it at Commonwealth, for those of you who don't know, that each team has their own ends. They're on their own side. Mm-hmm. There were some scary moments, I will admit. You talk about Beverett. There were some scary moments that we really weren't sure what was going to happen, but we were happy to see that Beverett really got dinged up. He really got whacked. Same thing with who was it? It was he was brought to the locker room. Do you remember?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Not Sean Lemon. Armando Sewell. Armando Sewell was brought to the locker room, and we're like, oh boy, especially with these two guys go. But Armando came back, and then obviously Beverett came back in and did what he did. So I mean, the Owls really were able to come away pretty much unscathed in this game, but it's again the defense stepped up, but yet again, just as we've been talking about over the past couple weeks, Cliff, Cody Fajardo was consistently consistent. He had that interception that we're like, why is he throwing it?
And that came actually after the ejection of Pierre-Olivier Lestage.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
spitting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now we still haven't been able to find out, and maybe one of those things that we just never will find out, what was said to him. And he even admitted, he owned up to it afterwards. Like, I got to be better for my teammates. I can't be doing that, which I'll give him full marks for. But even I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, spitting? Like, and it wasn't like, like what something had to have been said to him. Like, I don't know what you could have said to him that would have incited such a reaction, but like, you got to keep your head in the game, man. Like that, like to me, that's ridiculous. Like, and it again, you think about earlier this year, Austin Mack gets ejected for an open-handed punch, and now spitting. Like, what the hell? Like, to me, I just want to know what was said. And unfortunately, as I said, we're probably never going to know what it was, but that was unfortunate. And yeah, as a result, it backs the Alouettes up considerably. And
yeah, I think it was second and 3, and then it went to second and 25.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something along those lines. And yeah, once again, Fajardo was put in the situation of trying to make up some of those yards. And yeah, made an ill-advised throw to Marshallo Franklin. I hope I said that right. A former Alouette, believe it or not. Yeah, didn't get it. I don't think he saw very much action with the Alouettes, but yeah, former Alouette with the pick. Once again, ill-advised throw, but I mean, by and large, Fajardo did what he had to do. He didn't have the happy feet quite like he normally does, but he was still able to get a couple of nice scampers in. Did a great job moving the ball, finding his receivers. Had no problem getting Walter Fletcher involved in the game.
Not at all. Got bailed out by a fumble that he had, because it was recovered by, one of the O linemen. So, yeah, and yeah, as I said, he was. If Fajardo can say, as I said, I'm sure people are tired of me saying it, but with him staying consistently consistent, that's what we need. Defense dominates. Fajardo's consistently consistent, works everybody in. Then we're good.
Yeah, the ground game was solid. Joshua Antwi, who, funny, we see him in a walking boot a few weeks ago, or not, a few days before this game, and he tears off a really nice run. Fletcher looked outstanding. Once again, when we spoke to him at Thanksgiving, we talked about this game in Edmonton. Again, former Elk, so he wanted to once again remind them that you had me and you let me go, and you can even see the smile on his face after. Like we spoke with him after the game, and you could see like he was just beaming from ear to ear. Like he was so proud of what he was able to accomplish, and it was really cool too. A lot of Elks fans remembered him and actually made a point to go and see him and congratulate him, which I thought was really nice.
Classy.
Very classy indeed. Like just great sportsmanship. And you could tell that he was really, really happy too to see. I don't want to say former fans, because obviously they are still fans of his, but it's just like, okay, like you're wearing the different colors, but we still respect what you do. And to me, that was awesome. And you could tell Fletch was really, really happy about that. And we were happy for him because he had a fantastic game and got the win. And that's what counts.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about consistently consistent Cody. C3. Should we call him C3? No.
C3?
Yeah, consistently consistent Cody.
Let's just not call him the American Nightmare, because there's another Cody that has that, I believe.
I wasn't going there. Only 6 incompletions. I mean, 23 of 29, Cliff, 258 yards, his 1-1. But again, he did what he needed to do. He was backed up by Walter Fletcher, who had 88 yards. Let us know post-game that he had never had a 100-yard game at Commonwealth. He was just this close, but that was on 13 attempts, 6.8 average. You can't complain with that. Cody with another 30-yard game, Cliff.
He's consistent, all right.
I tell you, Caleb Evans got into it, as did Joshua Antwi with a. But then the receiving core, dude. Oh man, talk about guys who've stepped up when other guys go down. Leading receiver Tyler Sneed. The need for Sneed, 4 receptions, 69 yards. Austin Mack, 57 yards on 5 receptions. Cole Speaker. I think at a point there, I think it was 3 in a row that he got. 5 receptions, 56 yards. And then from there, Tyson Philpott got into it. Obviously, he had the one tutty, 38 yards. Joshua Antwi had 19. Walter Fletcher got into it with 16. And lastly, James Tuck with 3 yards. So, dude, again, everybody is getting involved. That's what's needed for this Alouette offense to continue to do what they're doing.
Yeah, and if, again, like, I know the term bus driver or game manager is usually looked at kind of mockingly when it comes to quarterback, but I mean, in this case, that's what Cody did. He managed the game relatively well, aside from the one pick that he threw, but didn't make very many mistakes. He kept things on track and moved the ball. He did the things he had to do. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't flashy, but once again, we keep saying that it's consistently consistent. And honestly, sometimes it's one of those instances where slow and steady does win the race. And once Montreal was down 21-3, he just rolled up his sleeves and went to work and just slowly but surely turned things around. Yes, he was helped out by the defense. He was also helped out by James Letchero and his incredible 125-yard touchdown return.
Mm-hmm.
That helped tremendously. Don't get me wrong, but Cody was still able to move the ball, still be able to find his receivers, get the running game going, like doing a lot of the good things, a lot of the right things the things that he needs to do in order to win football games. You can't be mad at that. It's, again, not flashy, it's not exciting, but these are the things you have to do in order to win. Sometimes you just have to go out there and just not screw up. And honestly, aside from the one pick, he didn't screw up this game at all. He managed this game extremely well.
Yeah, he did. And it's, again, this is where to the point where we think about it, Cliff. They've been so consistent. They've been on such a roll. How does this current bye week affect this team? You know, because they're going to go from here into what is a meaningless game, which is going to be a glorified preseason game. Mind you, we haven't had one of those in quite a while, Montreal.
You know what's funny though, and I think it was it David Arsenault who pointed this out? I don't remember who on Twitter, but or maybe it was oh no, you know, okay, I did see this online, but
okay,
when the Alouettes won the Grey Cup in 2009, they played a quote unquote meaningless game against Hamilton at Percival Molson Stadium to end the season, and then went on to win the Grey Cup.
Okay.
In 2009, the Alouettes went 2-0 in the preseason. This year, the Alouettes go 2-0 in the preseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember us mentioning that all way back when. Yep. But again, I'm not saying if the Alouettes win this next game on October 26th against Hamilton, 28th, I'm sorry. Yep.
I'm not saying if they win against Hamilton that, you know, this is a precursor to them, because again, it's not, the parallels are not exact, but
I know. It brings them to 11 wins too, which I think is for the first time since
2012.
Yeah, 2012. So
where Trent Guy set the record for a missed return.
Oh my God, you're right. What the hell?
I mean, yes, it's I'm picking and choosing different moments and things like that.
I know, but
the parallels are there, man. I mean, there's a lot of.
What is this? 6 degrees of Don Matthews? What the hell? Oh man!
Sky point to Don, the Don.
What time is it? Yeah. Oh man, it's again, but it's still bye week. I don't want it to mess it up. It's we talked to some of the guys post game. Who would have thought, by the way, the road trip that Davis Alexander was going on for his bye week. You know, some of the guys are coming back to Montreal. Some of them are going on different road trips. You know, we just want them to come back safe, because with the game on Saturday, that means that they will not practice officially until Tuesday. So they'll get in a full week, full three practices. Mm-hmm. That's what it should be. It's what it should be. But obviously, stay tuned to the Alouettes website for more clarification. But I think it will be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a walkthrough.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's. Owls have done, you know, they're okay on off of bye weeks, but I mean, it's, again, I'm being on such a roll. Let's, you know, we don't want it to knock what they have down.
You know what though? I think it's going to be good for them in the sense that, because when we were talking with a lot of these guys at post game, and we asked if they had any plans, and like, they're staying in Montreal, they're just going to get their bodies right. And to me, that sounds like, okay, if they got any nagging injuries, like this gives them an extra week to let those heal up a little bit, because as we said, the last home game, the home finale game, is going to be a glorified preseason game, essentially. So
we may get some guys back that we haven't seen in a while, because remember, I think we pointed out on the injured list for this game, we had who was it that showed up on the one game, which had been on the 6th game? Tyrell Richards showed up. Yeah. On the one game, I was like, "What? Is it possible that we may get a Reggie White sighting?"
We could. He's been chomping at the bit, so you got to figure he's got to be ready to go. And maybe it's just a simple matter of, okay, well, who do we sit in order to let Reggie play? Well,
but now would be the time.
This would be the time, absolutely. Like,
And
does
this...
Tyson Philpott need to play on the 28th? Does Tyler Snead need to play on the 28th? We're at that point where we can start sitting some of these guys and let, for example, a Richie White Jr. get back into the lineup and get his legs underneath him again.
And I got a feeling we're going to see all three quarterbacks. But yeah, that's more to talk about. Obviously, there's more to talk about next week on next week's show. But yeah.
No, and again, bye weeks, a lot can happen. But I truly think that a lot of these guys are really looking at this opportunity. I think they're glad to have that opportunity, especially knowing that they have second place sewn up. They know that they're going to have the Eastern semifinal. Now they can just get their bodies right. They can rest. They can clear their minds. You know, all this stuff. I think this is going to be a welcome reprieve, if you will. I don't think anyone's going to be running back home to do anything. I mean, really, like, I think at this point your focus has to be on your job, which is to get to and win the Grey Cup. So, I'm sure, yes, a couple of guys will probably go home, but I think based on who we spoke to, a lot of people are just going to be staying put and just getting themselves mentally and physically ready for that last home game and as well the Eastern semifinal, which again will be a mirror image because it's really going to be the Hamilton Tiger Cats playing the Montreal Alouettes at Percival Molson Stadium, not once but twice in consecutive weeks.
Yep, I got a stat for that, which I've already come across, which I'm going to put out next week on social. So I've already looked it up on the Alouettes when it comes to back-to-back games, regular season, and the same team in the playoffs. So, yeah, dude. I mean, it's more. It makes me wonder too. By the way, aren't the All-Star teams announced next week?
Well, I mean, fan voting is open for
right, but aren't the All-Star teams usually announced right before the end of the regular season?
Typically, yes.
Yeah.
And I imagine soon the voting will start, and nominations are going to be starting for the CFL Awards, which, as you folks know, will be held in Niagara Falls this year, as Grey Cup's going to be in Hamilton. Niagara Falls is not that far away from Hamilton, so they're going all out for this, and they even just announced that tickets are going to go on sale for the gala, if you will. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
I didn't know it was going to be in Niagara Falls.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
And apparently there's going to be shuttle buses going back and forth between Niagara and Hamilton as well. So, fans coming in that want to go see the CFL Awards just got to hop on a bus and head on out to, I think it's Casino Niagara. No, sorry, the Falls View Casino. So
that's where they're holding it. Oh, even better. Wow. Okay, yeah. I hadn't seen that announcement yet. Okay, that's cool.
Yep. So
that's cool. What? I'm waiting for them to have it at the Sphere one year in Vegas. Fly them all out and then driving back.
I have to. Well, Vegas is hosting the Super Bowl this season, so maybe NFL honors will be having. But that's them.
Oh yeah. Anyways, NFL. What? Give us some last thoughts before we finish this up, buddy. Because yes, there is no game, obviously, because the Alouettes are on a bye week. There is still a full other slate of games coming up there there are teams in contention in the West for playoff spots. So there is still some stuff to be decided upon this week. So there is still some games to talk about. But any last thoughts, Bud, before we finish up and put this one to bed?
Wow. Again, Edmonton was just a fantastic host. Once again, all the love to Andrew, Superfan Mike, and Commissioner Kayla for taking us in, if you will, and letting us be a part of the Edmonton Elks experience. Thank you again to the Edmonton Elks team for showing us the love as accredited media members. So that's definitely appreciated there. But I think what I'm going to take away more...
People can't see it, yes, because we're currently an audio podcast, but I'm showing our nameplates. Our nameplates rocked.
Yeah, no, once again, they the Elks showed us the love, and we are truly appreciative of it. It's so nice to be recognized by a Canadian Football League franchise as media members. It's a very nice touch.
Yeah. By the way, if you haven't seen the Turf District, they are available on YouTube's. Also, they have audio podcasts, and they're also available on Edmonton Sports Talk every Thursday, I think. But if you haven't seen their show yet, make sure you do, and you go give them some love.
Yeah, they record. They do the YouTube live stream Tuesday nights at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah. Just such a blast. Win or lose, they all come in, great attitude, lots of fun. They just want to entertain, and it's always a blast. I love spending time with these guys. It was just such a great experience to be at the tailgate, just to hang out at the Turf District itself, and
I got to sit in the seat. Next time we go, we have to go to Turf District West. Because, man, Superfan Mike's place looks like it's absolutely stunning.
Yep, absolutely. And, yeah, so, again, nothing but love for those guys and gal. Nothing but love for the people that we got the chance to meet. Just absolutely amazing. Edmonton really knows how to do football properly. And all they need now is just, I hope for their sake that the Elks get their act together. I mean, you started seeing it. Like the first half of the season for Edmonton was just a dog's breakfast. There was just no two ways about it. I mean, they had that home losing streak hanging overhead, and also too like a general losing streak too. I think it was 17 games before they finally won. Yeah, a game.
But they are a team in flux for sure. With some modifications and changes that they have, that they're going to be having next year. So they're going to have some growing pains too. But I mean, it's something that we have gone through here in Alouettes Nation, Cliff, as we know. We've gone through it, and I'm sure they will too. And that sooner or later, that place will be rocking once again when it comes to whether it be just 31,000 in the lower bowl, the lower deckers, or it's going to be, or it's going to be a full thing of 60. But either way, I agree with you, dude. We had fun, and if you haven't caught a game, as I said before, if you haven't caught a game, you need to go.
Yeah, without question. It's a tough time right now for Elks fans and the city of Edmonton as far as their football goes. But like you said, we've been through this in Montreal. It's not fun to go through, but I think every CFL team goes through it. It's almost like now it's your turn to have a lousy time period and where things just like nothing seems to go right.
Yeah.
We had ours from 2015 to 2019. And then now it seems like Edmonton, Ottawa, those teams are kind of going through.
Well, it started with AC retiring in 2013. So
yeah, but there's a little bit of hope in 2014, even though there's a little bit of craziness in 2014. And then 2015, like, the wheels just fell off, and it just kept going downhill from there.
I forgot about Crompton. I like Crompton.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something we could probably talk about during the off season too. Is just like look back at that time period and like, wow, sure. what a mess it was. So, Elks fans, we've been there. We know what you're going through. We really do. Like, and it's not about mocking or anything like that. It's just we've been there. We know what it's like, and all we can say is, stick with it, man, because when the highs are high, there's nothing better. The lows, you got to take the lows with the highs, and they don't last forever. That's the thing too, is tough times don't last. We've survived it. We've gone through it. We're very fortunate now that this team really does seem to have themselves back on track. Consistent winning football, and now the first winning season since 2019, after going even Steven for the past 2 seasons since the return from COVID. I mean, this team is finally starting to trend in the right direction, and that's great. And now, again, it's a simple matter of momentum, and just it's not going to be easy because, you got to play the Eastern semifinal. I mean, Hamilton, they are finding their form again. They are dangerous, especially Matt Schiltz's quarterback. I mean, he will keep this team going. Tim White has been playing outstanding football. The receivers, I mean, like this Edmonton or this Hamilton offense is scary good. Their defense too is nothing to sneeze at. So I mean, like this is not going to be a cakewalk.
No, it won't be.
Semifinal.
No, it won't be. And obviously, we'll be talking about that a little bit more next week too, when we set up the first game, set up the home finale for the Alouettes. If you haven't gotten your tickets, make sure you do so. It will be starting at 4 p.m. on Saturday the 28th. It is Halloween. The theme is Halloween, and they will be doing a tailgate. So if you can get your tailgate on that Saturday. So. We're having a bye week, not having a CFL football this week for the Owls, but you know what? We're into that home stretch. It's home finale, heading into the playoffs, Cliff. Can't ask for anything more. So, bud, I will talk to you next week, and we will also see you, the fans, next week. Obviously, there's going to be no Flight Deck Live this week because we don't have a game to talk about, but we will be returning, obviously, next week. So we will talk to you guys next Wednesday with another great show. So for everybody here at the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.